How can events that happen thousands of kilometers away from us deeply affect us? If Iran is attacking Israel and American bases, why does it feel like the war has come home? Yes, we're talking about the war that has been on for 2 weeks now, and if you're in denial about this being wartime even in India, let me tell you why it has suddenly become a big reality this week. Let me begin with the first telltale sign of war, and remember that it's not too alien because less than a year ago we were dealing with Operation Sindoor and the almost war with Pakistan. So the first sign that we are in crisis mode comes from the daily briefings by the government. They started on Wednesday and are interministerial, so all the ministries that are impacted, especially the Petroleum and Gas Ministry, the Shipping Ministry, the Foreign Affairs Ministry, their officials come and talk to the nation about where things stand. Now, let me make one thing clear. They do not call them war briefings. In fact, it is intentionally titled Harmless Developments in West Asia Briefing. But when behind-the-scenes bureaucrats are put in front of TV cameras, you know it's a crisis. The biggest red light of them all, reporters attending the briefing are told not to ask any questions.
Today's briefing has been organized to provide an update from the relevant ministries on different aspects and steps being taken by Government of India. We have with us senior officers from Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas, Ministry of Shipping, Ministry of External Affairs, and Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Please note that we will not take questions in today's briefing.
Everyone, of course, has lots of questions at this time, so it's kind of frustrating and adds to the warlike atmosphere. But that's more a sign for messengers like us or for keen observers. You know it's wartime when things suddenly start falling short. I was listening to the briefing yesterday and I learned that almost half of our LPG supply, that's cooking gas supply, comes from West Asia and the Strait of Hormuz. By the way, that's another sign of conflict, when we suddenly do a crash refresher course in geography to find out the exact location of a place that's causing us so much heartburn. So, while the government insists that there is no shortage of LPG, private schools have said that they will no longer provide lunch services because the caterer has no LPG cylinder. That's not too bad because you can pack a tiffin, but hopefully this isn't the case with government schools where the hot midday meal is often the only nutritious meal that some children can get in a day. Imagine if that is disrupted. Our reporters in Uttar Pradesh say while there are some disruptions, but nothing too concerning about midday meals just yet. The Maharashtra Assembly Canteen, however, has stopped serving MLAs because it just didn't have the gas, and gurudwaras and temples have stopped their langar and prasad services in various parts of the country. So this whole crisis has just set off a chain of events and impacted livelihoods, since commercial establishments like restaurants are not listed as essential. Many restaurants or even simple vendors are just shutting down or changing their menus. Also, some people are wondering why restaurants in southern parts of India like Karnataka were the first ones to have a problem. My colleagues covering finance tell me that this is simply because in those areas, restaurants declare themselves as needing commercial LPG supply, while those in other parts of the country use illicit means and may be using private LPG connections, even in commercial kitchens. Farmers in Maharashtra who were counting on their produce reaching places like UAE are having to deal with a crash of prices. As a senior officer told me, they will have to be told to no longer produce for export, else the market will witness a glut. Some try to be optimistic and talk about seeing opportunities in crisis. Unfortunately, crooks feel the same way too, and that's why you see LPG cylinders being hoarded and then sold at premiums. I was talking to someone today who said that their supplier usually charges around 900 rupees, but now was citing shortages to demand 2,000 to even 2,500 rupees for each cylinders. In Delhi, the well-to-do areas have piped gas, which isn't under stress right now, but poorer areas are still reliant on LPG. And that's why another story that appears only during such war times is that the police across the country has to crack down on such black marketeers. We saw raids in Hapur, Uttar Pradesh, Rajkot, Gujarat, and several other places across the country. And finally, we need coping mechanisms for war times, and that sometimes means we rediscover things we had stopped using. Remember kerosene? It used to be used commonly before LPG cylinders and piped gas became common in our homes because kerosene can run portable stoves. So on Thursday, the government announced it was going to increase the supply to states so that it could be accessed in ration shops for those who don't have access to LPG. That's something old, but there's something new too. Induction cooktops are just flying off the shelf and on sites like Amazon. So much so that they may not be available immediately online. One store owner was quoted as saying that usually he sells a couple a day, but in the last 2 days, he sold 100 induction cooktops. So, going by the statements in the last few days, while Donald Trump may be considering the economic fallout of all that has happened, Iran may not open Strait of Hormuz till all their goals are accomplished and till they have avenged the death of their spiritual leader and many unsuspecting civilians. We are all hoping that Iran gives us special concessions because of our traditionally warm relationship, but as of now, folks, this could last a while. So let's hunker down and just pray for peaceful times to return.